The courtroom fell silent the moment Judge John Neely Kennedy stepped through the heavy oak doors. Not because he was feared, though he was respected, but because of the small, silver cross hanging from a thin chain around his neck. It caught the light, and with it, it caught every judging eye in the room. Whispers rippled like a quiet wind. "Who wears that in court? Looks unprofessional. This guy must be old-fashioned." No one knew that by the end of the week, those same whisperers would be sitting in stunned silence as Judge Kennedy exposed a level of wisdom, integrity, and brilliance none of them saw coming. The mockery begins. The case at hand was one of the biggest the state had seen in years, a corruption scandal involving a powerful corporation accused of exploiting immigrant workers. The whole courtroom buzzed with reporters, lawyers, activists, and skeptics. But the loudest trouble came from one person. Attorney Malcolm Leavitt, young, sharp-tongued, and famous for humiliating opponents with theatrical flair. The moment he saw the cross, Malcolm smirked. "Your Honor," he said loudly on the first day, "I hope your accessories won't influence the court with superstition." Soft chuckles followed. Eyes shifted toward Judge Kennedy. A camera even zoomed in on the necklace. But Kennedy didn't flinch. He simply adjusted his glasses. "My decisions are influenced only by facts and the law, Mr. Leavitt." Then he leaned forward slightly. "But thank you for your concern." His voice was calm. Controlled. But something sharp flashed behind it. Malcolm thought he had embarrassed the judge. In reality, he had awakened a storm. A man with a hidden history. Outside the courtroom, even staff whispered about Kennedy. "He's too soft. He's too quiet. Malcolm will eat him alive." But what none of them knew was that Judge Kennedy had grown up in a small Louisiana town where his father worked 3 jobs and his mother taught him that faith wasn't J. This contract includes legal terminology that exceeds the literacy standard of federal workplace documents, he said. Furthermore, the company failed to provide a translator despite having employees who speak the witness's language on staff. Gasps filled the room. Reed's smirk vanished. John continued, "It appears negligence occurred, but not on the worker's part." And in that moment, the cross at his neck might as well have been a sword. The revelation. Word spread quickly. Reporters who once mocked him for his faith now whispered about his calm genius. Lawyers who doubted him began scribbling notes every time he spoke. Even Judge Leavitt stood in the doorway one afternoon, watching him with a strange mixture of respect and disbelief. But the real revelation came on the final day of the trial. John delivered a ruling so thorough, so meticulously crafted, that legal scholars later called it a masterpiece of modern judicial reasoning. He struck down the exploitative clauses, restored workers' rights, and ordered restitution that would change hundreds of lives. Tears flowed in the courtroom. One worker, an elderly woman with silver hair, approached him afterward. She didn't speak English, but she clasped his hand, pressed it to her forehead, and whispered a blessing. John blinked hard, emotions welling in his chest. For once, no one mocked the cross. They saw it for what it always was, not a symbol of bias, but of courage, compassion, and conviction. A quiet moment. Later that evening, Judge Leavitt herself approached him in the parking lot. "You know," she began awkwardly, "I misjudged you." John smiled gently. "We all misjudge sometimes." She nodded, finally noticing the cross not with annoyance, but curiosity. "It means a lot to you, doesn't it?" John touched it lightly. "It reminds me to stand for something, even when it's unpopular." Leavitt exhaled, then spoke quietly. "Well, today, you stood taller than any of us." The leg.